Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Topic Time with Harrison Young. It's hard to believe this is the final May show of 2022. What a year it's been. The first 5 months have been phenomenal. I have an awesome guest tonight. He's as local as anyone I've ever had on the show. He's right here in the building. I'm going to talk to him in a minute, and we're going to underwrite his business. But before we do that, I got to read all the underwriters, including his at the end. So, but never least, just last. So here we go. I want to thank Auto Country, king of the used car in Abington, #1 in the dealer ratings of Massachusetts for 2021. Been with me since the beginning in customer service. Then we got the barber shop in Whitman, and we got Auto Town, Auto Glass in Abington. We got John's Greenhouses and Florist Shop in Brockton. We got Johnny Macaroni's Restaurants, two in East Bridgewater, one in Halifax. We got C&J Auto Body, Auto Glass Towing in Stoughton. We got White Mountain Crystals in Plainville. We got Fadeologist 101 Barber Shop in Brockton. We got P&L Paintball in Bridgewater. We got Eli's Auto Repair in Taunton. We got Jacob's Detailing Garage in Middleborough. We got Shaggy Chic Dog Grooming Salon in Attleboro. We got Nautical Mile, Lisa's Lobster in Whitman. They're new. We got Lynch's Towing Auto Cycle and Truck Center in Brockton, one number for towing, one number for projects. We got Grant's Rental in Bridgewater. We got Doggy Boutique, all breed professional grooming for dogs and cats, run by my great next door neighbor, Debbie Sell in Brockton. We got RW Carpet and Flooring in Norton, covering floors for 50 years. We got Easton Fitness right in the Village Shops in Northeastern. We got Joe's Diner in Taunton. We got Chapin Sheds in Whitman. And, of course, we got Shoveltown Brewery right here in the building, and represented by this gentleman, Mr. Jim McSherry, who was a last-minute fill-in, but the show's been getting wilder and wilder. And, Jim, I want to thank you for coming in at the last minute and being a guest on my show. We're going to have a wonderful interview.
How could I not come up? You come down and grab me and pull me away from my beer.
Well, you wanted to bring the beer with you. You certainly would not have been prohibited after a while.
That's okay. I thought it was a family show, but here I am.
It is a family show. That's okay. People and families drink beer. Okay. Well, Jim, like I do with every guest, I know you're kind of well known in the area. You're a neighborhood guru here of beer brewing, and you have a nice establishment. It smelled really nice in there. The food smelled really good in there. When I went in, I didn't even realize they had a bar and grill. But we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But like what I do with every guest, as I've told you before we started, I try to profile them, find out what they were like as kids growing up. So tell me about Jim growing up. Where did you grow up? How did it inspire you to do what you're doing now? And if I have any questions pertaining to the subject herein, I'll let you know.
Okay, how far do you want to go back?
As far back as you can remember.
I wasn't drinking a beer when I was 5 years old, but
okay.
I grew up in the town of Holbrook, not too far from here.
Right.
Next to Brockton. My father educated in Brockton for 45 years, so we did a lot in Brockton. We had a summer home in Kingston and Rocky Nook, right in Duxbury, Kingston Bay, so I spent most of my summers down in Kingston.
Okay.
From there, so grew up, didn't get into beer till later on in life, like everyone else. They acquired the taste for beer, but...
Okay. Well, how did you end up, well, all right, first of all, did you have brewing beer in your family history? Did anyone else in your family brew beer, or were you the initiator?
No, we started the homebrew back in the early 80s when you could homebrew, and you could homebrew so many gallons of beer in a year. I think James Earl Carter, President Carter, in the late 70s, brought back some old Prohibition law where you could homebrew so many gallons a year.
Well, wait a minute. You're talking the 1980s, right? Obviously the 80s. All right. Well,
yeah.
the reason you mentioned Prohibition, I believe it ended in the 30s, didn't it?
Correct, it did. But as far as brewing alcohol and brewing in your own home, he changed the law where you could brew, I forget the gallonage, it was 100 gallons a year that you could brew by yourself.
Oh, really? So there really wasn't...
Some of the laws there's still some old archaic laws from Prohibition. Even in Massachusetts, there's still three-tiered distribution system. There's still some laws. The blue laws, of course, went away with beer on Sunday. So
I know. And look, in the town of Westwood was dry until like 2 years ago. So I know how that is, sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, so basically at that point, homebrew. There was a place in West Bridgewater. I lived in East Bridgewater, bought the carboy, bought the system, used an extract, and kind of pretty much beer was flat tasting, yellow beer at the time, and figured a home brew would taste better. And sometimes, most of the time it did. Sometimes it was off a bit, but, and then kind of graduated from there. Stopped making it for a while, brought it back, and then 6-7 years ago, we actually had the homebrew contest here in the Children's Museum in Easton. They had a homebrew contest with the night at the Museum, and we actually put some beers, cooked them on the stove, and made some recipes, and went in and won the contest. And Shoveltown Brewery was thought about that night, and here we are today.
What year was this?
Would have been 2014.
So you've been here for 8 years.
We opened up here in Easton, 50 Oliver Street, at February 2017.
Okay, so where were you before that? You were in Easton before that?
No, we were actually getting licenses and building the place out, and we were doing In the basement, Frank Altieri is the co-owner, and we were actually doing pilot systems and recipe development on a little electric system in the basement.
Okay, the basement of what?
The house.
Oh, your house, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then from there, once again, we had a small system, and here we are 5.5 years later. We're a full production brewery with full tap room, second location coming in Foxborough, an old fire station within 3 months. And
Sweet.
you can buy, drink. We're distributed and served in bars and restaurants in 330 locations in Massachusetts.
Not to mention plenty of people buying it, on the way to the Pats games in the fall. Once you're in Foxborough, you're going to go right by there anyway, right?
Foxborough should be a good spot for the Patriots, yes.
That's awesome. Okay. So how did you learn to brew beer? Did you take lessons? Did you just read a book? Did you experiment?
Trial and error.
Yep.
There was a book called The Joy of Brewing that kind of like was the Bible of brewing, I guess.
Okay.
Kind of trial and error, learned on the way. Extract, a little bit more food, moved into grain brewing after that. I don't brew anymore. There's 6 people in the brew house now.
Okay.
Including production. They're actually, I smell right now, they're just finishing up a brew day as we speak right now. I can smell it coming in through the building. I'm lying, of course, but.
Now you're just a foam guy, right?
Well, the building we're sitting in right now, the brewery is contained in. That's why I said that.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so you basically have, at Shoveltown Brewery now, you have like 6 people that take care of the brewing, right? Is that it? It looks like you have a pretty large operation.
Packaging to, yes, full canning line, packaging line to brewing, quality assurance, labs, Solomon, yes.
Right.
Sales, distribution.
And okay, so that's basically all done right here in the building, right?
We brew everything here on site, correct.
You beer on site, and then when you distribute it, you have people in trucks that drive it to the stores that they sell them at? Is that how that
we
works?
self-distribute with 2 of our vehicles, and we have 1 key distributor, Coastal Craft out of Fall River, that takes us out of within a region. Yeah, we control a region around here.
Okay,
We
so
self-distribute.
so you actually have it's your brand name too, Shoveltown, right?
Shoveltown's the name of the company. It's the brand. Grab a shovel is the catch line.
Say it again. Grab a shovel to what?
Grab a shovel is the catch line.
Oh, okay. But what I'm saying is you bottle the beer with a label that says Shoveltown Brewery, or not?
Everything's canned here. This is Shoveltown Brewery, yes. And
Okay.
The beers have different names to them. The Flyaway, Twine Cutter,
Okay.
Summer Ale, Madagascar, with all label and all artwork on the labels. But the name of the beer is Shoveltown Brewery.
Okay, I understand. So you have but you distribute it under different names, you said, right?
Those are styles and names of beer, but it's all the same Shoveltown Brewery.
Okay. Now that leads me to wonder. What, if you distribute it under different names, couldn't that be confusing to the customer? I mean, I'm just wondering, wouldn't it make more? I mean, you do what you got to do, but I just want to. Inquiring minds want to know why would you distribute it under different names? I'm just curious.
Once again, the names of the beers only. The Shoveltown logo's on every can that goes out.
Okay, so everybody knows it's a Shoveltown beer, even
Everyone
if it's got a
knows,
different name.
Flyaway is a brand. Flyaway is the New England IPA. Twine
Okay.
Cutter, Madagascar Vanilla, Summer Ale. They're all names of the beer styles, of the beers themselves.
I see.
But it all goes under the Shoveltown graphic design label, logo.
Right.
And once again, talks about the nice shovel building we're in now in Easton, 50 Oliver Street, where the tap room and brewery are located.
It's a great location. But are all the different, if the beers have different names on them, are they brewed a little differently? Are they slightly different flavored beers?
Every different styles, lagers, ales.
Right,
Yes.
okay. Yeah, my father actually, we tried brewing beer. He actually tried making wine a few years ago. It tasted awful. Just a little vinegar.
Tastes like vinegar, sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
So now when you get the ingredients for the beer, do you actually go out to, fields of barley? Like, you see those commercials for Coors, and they say, and he shows people in big fields out in Colorado or wherever, or out in whatever the part of the country where those big barley plants are.
Sure.
Do you get people? Do you actually import? When I say import, obviously I'm talking about everything. I'm sure I'm assuming all the ingredients you use are U.S. made. So do you import? I don't want to say import. Do you order barley from different parts of the country? Do you go out and do you pick it from the fields? Have people that do that?
We can source. We use a lot of American two-row base beer.
Okay.
We source grain or crushed grain or from Germany,
Oh,
Ireland
okay.
for the Irish Red, but the majority is a two-row American.
Okay.
But there's different malting houses. We buy from different malting houses.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then in addition to that, the barley, we'll say the grain, we call it. We crush it with a crush and then steep it, make the water. I'm not going to go into the whole process, but hops are grown Yakima Valley, Washington, Michigan, some around the world, different strains, different flavors of hops.
Okay. What do you think of now? I notice. I mean, now as a guy, you know, I used to drink beer. I could never really stomach alcohol. I did it. I used to go crazy over the Schaefer beer commercials about 50 years ago because they sponsored the Red Sox games, and I loved the jingle. You probably remember those.
Yeah, yeah.
And I used to drink it almost like to make a statement that it was such a good commercial. And even though I really didn't like drinking, I drank it anyway. But back in those days, you had, you know, most of your beers that were popular in the U.S. were Schlitz, Miller, Budweiser. Today, I don't think they make Schlitz anymore. I haven't seen it in
Yeah, they do. In 1982 was the
Stroh's.
low point of American beer. That's what we call it, the yellow beer.
Okay.
Back before that, coming out of Prohibition, early 1900s, each little region, each city Boston, they all had their breweries.
Okay.
And the brands that you bring up were the ones that kind of, basically the yellow beer, the Schlitz, the Millers, the Budweisers, that was kind of the low point. Sam Adams.
Why do you say low point? Does that mean it was a bad time for beer brewing?
The local breweries have gone out of business.
Okay.
Some of the bigger names, you know, Narragansett, some of them had slowed down, and the bigger national beer took over. It was yellow beer.
Right.
Jim Cook comes along with Sam Adams, comes along in the mid-'80s, talking about craft beer, a flavorful beer, different styles of beer.
Okay.
Since then, it kind of, you know, craft beer has kind of had evolution, took off a little bit, ebbed and flowed,
Yep.
and has come on strong with microbreweries in a lot of these states, and as we have in Massachusetts, has gone from, I'd say, 2011, 2012 to where we are right now with 210 breweries in Massachusetts.
Okay. Including yours, obviously, right here.
Including mine.
Yeah.
Back in 1980, back then, there were probably I don't even think there were any breweries in Massachusetts.
Okay.
So all the local breweries kind of went through a cycle. They all went away. Answer your question, Schlitz still exists. It's owned by private equity that has Falstaff Schlitz. They brew them in one big brewery, and they just have the brand names.
Okay.
And back in 1980, everyone was brand loyal. I mean, I
Right,
remember down the
exactly.
summer house, he was a Schlitz man. He was a Carling Black Label man.
Yep.
He was,
Pabst.
Pabst and Budweiser, you drank Bud, you drank Bud. You drank Miller, you drank Miller. Everyone was brand loyal.
Right. But not anymore?
It could be for us. People, you know, the flyaway on New England IPA, as I said, 340 locations, bought and sold and poured.
Okay.
It's become a brand. People like that. Shoveltown's a brand, but there's more choice, there's more flavorful
Way
beer.
more.
That's what the craft beer industry. When I said 1980, that was the Miller Core Budweiser, the yellow beer. The beers are much more flavorful. The styles have come back. I mean, we're making lagers, German wits. You know, there's a lot of styles to beer.
That's true. It's true. They are amazing. And I've noticed that they've been adding some certain, like, I don't want to say condiments, but like adding spices to beer, making it kind of, adding citrus flavor. I mean, do you know what I'm talking about? That they're adding these beers with citrus flavor now?
Adjuncts and flavoring. There's seltzers, there's a lot of different models. The craft beer themselves, the New England IPA, the juicy hazy IPAs, we don't add much to it. Other people shouldn't. Some people do, but the hop profile, when you get the hop, you know, it tastes like a melon. It tastes like a pineapple. It's a different strain of a hop.
Okay.
When IPAs have hops a little bit more in them, boiling hops. Whirlpool all the way dry hopping, that's the style itself. The hops come front forward on the nose and the taste.
Okay.
You can put flavor in beer. Some people adding, in the winter ales, we put cardamom spice, you know, different. So it's come a long way. People are doing a lot of innovative things with beer. They've deviated from the styles a lot.
Yep.
We try to stay true to the styles and don't flavor our beer really. We'll let the beer do the talking itself.
You don't want to adulterate it too much.
Pretty much. I mean, if it's a style, it's a New England IPA. As I said, the hop brings back the forward. Vanilla cream ale is a nice cream ale with Madagascar vanilla bean on it, gives it that taste.
Yep.
You know, the crunch, nice peanut butter coffee stout. We do put coffee in it from Equal Exchange in West Bridgewater. We make a chocolate clock, a nice chocolate stout.
What do you have? You have a division there too in West Bridgewater?
No, we just buy the coffee.
Oh, I see what you mean. You buy it. I see.
Yeah, the
okay.
peanut butter. We use peanut butter extract.
Wow.
It kind of comes to crunch.
Yes, that adds protein to the beer.
Yeah, I guess. You know, pretty much. Then the chocolate clock. We use chocolate from Hilliard.
Chocolate?
Cocoa nib. Yeah, the cocoa nib gives it a little bit of chocolate flavor.
See, it's funny because when you think back to the 30, 40 years ago, no, that would have been unheard of. So it's definitely the beer revolution.
Well, it's flavorful. People want it fresh. You know, spin off and Hilliard's. Hilliard's takes our up Langwater Farm, right up the road from where we are, we have a hop field. We grow hops. So
Oh, no kidding. Right in Easton?
right in Easton, Easton grew hops,
Yep.
according to the Ames family. Talking with Bill a bunch, I guess.
Would
they
that be
were.
on 138 across from Hilliard's? Where the farmer's
Where the
market
farm
is?
yeah.
That's what I figured, okay.
It's not much of a hop field. We do grow hops. And Hilliard's uses our beer, and they make a nice, they call it beer brittle. It's
Yeah.
peanut brittle. And won national award with that. And they make a caramel. We were on a Today Show. We were on Oprah's list.
And now you're on Topic Time.
Co-branded with Hilliard's on, for the caramel, beer caramels dusted with hops, and of course our beer brittle that they make with the flyaway. So.
Well, that's sweet. So I was going to ask you if you'd won any awards. That's incredible. And you were on Oprah with this stuff. That's incredible.
Well, Oprah put it on
Today Show.
Hilliard's on their list to buy during the holiday season.
Okay.
And once again, these two, the caramels made with the beer was voted national. Not my award once again, National Confectionery Award, and the beer brittle was on the Today Show. Yep.
Oh wow! And so any of your reps?
Once again, those aren't our recipes. We won a bronze medal at the Great American Beer Festival last November. That's a national medal.
Where was that held?
Denver.
Wow.
And the U.S. Beer Open. So those are national beer medals that people judge our beer to style.
That's incredible. So did you go out to Denver yourself, you and some people from your...
We weren't out for that. We were just in Denver for the World Beer, and also we were out there for the Craft Beer Conference 2 weeks ago.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, I'm thinking, when I think of Denver, I think of Coors, because you remember how years ago, Coors was a beer back until like mid-'80s. I mean, you couldn't even really get it in this part of the country. And then when
the laws prohibited east of the Mississippi.
Why was that?
I don't really know why. I don't know.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now that seems really archaic, especially back in the 80s.
I heard it was because the beer was packaged a certain way and preservatives, but once again, going back to the archaic, the beer laws back in Prohibition.
Okay, you mentioned hops. What about yeast? Do you use yeast too?
Any alcohol needs yeast.
Yeah, okay. I always think of the Three
Yeast
Stooges.
is made with bread. You remember that when I put the yeast in?
You all put the yeast in, right?
Yeah. Three Stooges. It's called Three Little Beers is the name
of
the episode if you want to go look at it.
Well, no, Three Little Beers is the golf one.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
I'm a Stooges for
Oh,
fishing out of
there you go.
back.
We should do a Stooges show.
Yep.
Yeast with any alcohol. Grapes create the sugar. Yeast eats the sugar. Grapes and creates wine.
Yep.
We use yeast. Yeah, different strains of yeast. We recirculate it. We don't have a proprietary yeast. A lot of breweries do.
Okay.
Keep on feeding it.
What does proprietary mean?
Proprietary means you have your own yeast strain.
Okay.
And you feed it, you recirculate it, and you measure it under a microscope, make sure there's enough cells for the next batch.
Okay.
You take the spent yeast after it's done its work, and you feed it and keep it circulated and keep it again to brew beer with it.
That's
you wash it and then get it ready to go. But any type of, whether it's white bread, it's pushing off some sort of alcohol. The yeast is eating the flour. Same as any type of malt beverage or any type of liquor. Once again, it's yeast. So beer is water, yeast, grain, barley, hops.
Sweet. Okay. The one thing I've noticed that really hasn't changed about beer, and correct me if as far as I can tell, correct me if I'm wrong. People still do not put ice in beer when they drink it. They don't. Nobody pops ice bottles in
UK
beer.
and the Brits like their beer warm.
The Brits like their beer warm. I know.
Yeah.
I've been to the UK.
A nice pour of a nice brown stout.
But why would you? I mean, but people in the US don't like their beer warm, especially if they're hot. That's usually they like it refreshing.
Yeah,
and
well,
cold.
the Americans like it ice cold. Yeah.
But nobody uses ice in beer, is what I'm saying, right? Or do they?
It just waters it down.
Oh, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, it waters it down, but basically the beer's cold out of a cooler, cold out of a refrigerator.
Okay.
Some people are drinking warm. Whether it's a brown ale, people like the darker ales, the brown ale, the stouts, a little warmer room temperature. You get more flavors out of it than when they're ice cold.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this: Do you like oversee events like weddings? Do you, like, say could somebody call you and say we want a keg for our wedding of something?
We do some retail kegs out to people, but mainly wholesale events. Right now, we do a lot with the New England Bartending Service, and they do, whether it's weddings and events, corporate events, all the major hotels in Boston and also up in Maine, any type of, they would do weddings, but our beer would be on their bar, cans of beer.
Okay, so basically no one's going to come down and get a keg from Shoveltown
They
Brewery.
can. I mean, we do retail kegs. Usually we do the 5-gallon logs. Not too many people get half barrels, but majority of our beer goes out wholesale. So the bars, restaurants. some catering services, stuff like that.
And you sell now, how many restaurants are on your distribution list, would you say, right now?
I can't give you the breakout, but like I go with 330 locations. That's package stores that sell the
That's incredible.
cans
Yep.
and bars and restaurants. I mean, throw a stone from where we are on 50 Oliver Street. I don't want to start naming places, but Buddy's, Union Villa, the Stone Forge.
Right, of course, yeah. And what
what
about
else
the,
we
what
close?
about the patio over here,
Buffinios.
Shovel Shop Brewery? Do you sell to them?
Pete and Kate do a great job for us.
Yep.
Shovel Shop, Pops does a great job for us. The
Okay.
Wine Basket. I could go up in the Barrel and Boards. I just was off the phone with them and ran them. We're their #1 pour in their draft system.
So basically, yeah, I mean, I bet you're distributed pretty much all over the neighborhood, which is,
Nantucket, the Vineyard, we're setting up the Cape right now.
wow.
We're in the Chatham's Bar Inn. We're in, the Beachcomber, up and down the Cape. So
How many people do you have working for you over here?
between servers, cooks, food preps.
Well, let's just talk about the beer process, the beer making process itself, and then we'll go to the other things.
Okay. As I said, there's 6 in the brew house. So
You have
package-
6, right?
Yeah, head brewer, operations, assistant brewer,
Yep.
packaging,
Okay.
quality assurance, Salomon.
Okay.
Packaging line, yeah.
And now,
Sales distribution.
how long does it take let's say, how long does it take to brew enough beer to make, like, enough to sell to one store?
We have a 15 barrel system. A barrel of beer is 31 gallons.
Okay,
So when they say a barrel or a keg, that's a half barrel, that's 15.2.
okay,
So 2 half barrels make a barrel, 31 gallons is a barrel of beer. We have a 15 barrel brew house here on site.
okay.
We have 30 barrel fermenters, so we double into a 30. So that's 30 barrel fermenters. We do have some 15 barrel fermenters. And so we brew 2 days a week, package 2 days. So we're emptying fermenters, filling fermenters.
Wow,
You asked me about how much it take. Ales finish out in about 2 weeks.
okay,
Lagers take a little longer because of the process, the step called lager. It's called lagering down.
okay,
You start at a little higher temperature for the yeast, and then you step down to a lower temperature, and the lower you go, the colder the beer clears it out. So lagers tend to be a little clearer.
okay,
That would be our Patriot Pilsner. That would be our Cerveza. That would be the log time
Okay.
German lager.
wow, okay,
And the ales finish out about 2 weeks. Some of the ales finish out, Madagascar vanilla. Some, 2 weeks. The IPAs, we double hop, sometimes triple hop, go a little bit longer sometimes if we add another hop addition to them.
What's an IPA?
Stands for India Pale Ale.
Okay,
It's a style of beer that the Brits developed years ago
okay,
when they were going across the Silk Road to China.
yep,
To preserve the water, they would pretty much put hops in their low alcohol beer to preserve the water so they could drink it.
wow, okay,
Same as the Pilgrims. People don't realize the Pilgrims made low, and everyone drank it from the kids all the way up to the children, all the way up to the people on the boat.
but the Puritans didn't because it was considered immoral.
The Puritans drank it. They drank a very low alcohol water because that's the only way you preserve it. If
Okay,
you didn't preserve it, the water, they'd be, drinking water that would be full of bacteria.
right,
So they would make a low alcohol beer, boil it, and then they would preserve it. And once again, it's bringing probably about 0.5, not even 1% alcohol.
I wonder why the name India is in there. Does it have anything to do with people from India too? Do they have
Once
anything to
again,
do with the brewery?
the Brits were going through India to the Silk Road to China.
Okay, aha.
India Pale Ale. So the
Right.
troops had, once again, the Brits had the troops, once again, very low alcohol water, they call it,
Okay.
or beer.
Now tell me about when it comes to packaging the beer. Do you package it in more than one way? Like for instance, cans, bottles. I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
I heard that. Speaking for myself, if I was still drinking beer and I don't anymore, I would prefer it in a glass because glass is tasteless and odorless. Whereas a can, I would think would adulterate the flavor of the beer. I'd much prefer drinking a beer out of a bottle. I don't know about that.
Cans have come a long way. They line them now, so they're pretty good.
Oh, really? Okay.
But we have a full canning line.
Okay.
So what we do now is when we come out of the bright tank's the tank that carbonates the beer
Okay.
through the fermenter, through the centrifuge, into the bright tank, overnight carbonated, and we're kegging more than canning now because the bars and restaurants are back open again.
Okay.
So we'll pull all our kegs, half barrels, 5-gallon logs, and then we'll get into the canning line. Canning line, empty can, fills it, seals it, labels it. So we majority can. We do some bottles, one-offs now and again for barrel-aged stuff, but everything's can. We do about 55 cases an hour right here in this building.
Wow. But it's all done by hand, right?
No.
Not mass produced.
No, it's fully automated. The
Okay,
canning-
but All right.
Canning line's hooked to a compressor.
Yep.
So it's all pneumatic as it goes through, the cans come down the chute,
Okay.
fills them, seals them, and then labels them.
But it obviously works because people love the beer and business is great.
People do enjoy Shoveltown Brewery. It's good to be part of, the community here in Easton, and
Yep, it is.
it's a brand that people are learning, and we grow all the time with the brand.
That's awesome. Well, hey, guess what? We're down to the final 5 minutes of the show.
Okay.
We made it go by. I hope we covered as much about your deal as we could. I know you were a last-minute guest, but it seems to me I had a great education about beer brewing that I didn't know anything about before.
See, we call it a beer brewing show.
Oh, we'll call it the Beer Brewing Show. So if you want to mention something about softball before we wrap it up, that's fine. If not, just give shouts out to the people that are going to see it, because once this is up online, people in Easton are going to see it. Well, for a while, they play it a lot, but it'll also be available on YouTube as well.
Okay, well, shout out to, I don't know who I can shout it out to, but
People
the folks in Easton that might be watching it, we appreciate all your support at Shoveltown Brewery. The folks outside the region, once again, grab a shovel, keep on drinking Shoveltown. The tap room, we didn't get too much of it here. The tap room, we have an extensive food menu from flatbread pizzas all the way down to nice steak and cheese sandwiches, chicken sandwiches, falafels. Foxborough's coming on in three months. We are working with Doug King to develop the old fire station in Foxborough Center. It's going to be a full kitchen, we are brewing beer there, and we hope to have craft beer and craft distillery. So the folks of Foxborough, here we come. They already know we're coming anyway, so it's going to be a nice location. Other than that, I don't know, the beer world has been great. The craft beer is a great community. Heading over after this show, right to Brockton Beer. They finally opening up their tap room on Main Street in Brockton. Their good friends are there. We brewed a collaboration beer with them a couple months ago called One Fair. That's still a little out in distribution, so they're good friends. I'll be heading over there. That's the craft beer world.
Okay, craft not to be confused with a cheese.
It's spelled different, but sure, yeah.
Okay, how's it spelled? C-R-A-F-T instead of K?
Craft is like a craftsman.
Then that's then with a C, right?
C, and
Yeah.
K makes the craft cheese.
One last question. Where did you get the slogan, grab a shovel? Where did that come from? It sounds more like a gravedigger slogan, but you explain it.
Well, once again, Shoveltown Brewery, we are in a shovel building. Everyone knows
Oh, yes, that's right, the history of this
the
building.
Ames built shovels
Yep.
in early 1800s. I can go into the whole story as told to me by Bill Ames, but
Okay,
I know enough about it. That's the name of the brewery, Shoveltown Brewery. Grab a shovel was just something the tagline developed years ago. Grab a shovel.
okay, that's
Shovel
it.
beer is, grab a shovel. It's a loosely based, but I don't even want to say this. Years ago, Narragansett used to have a slogan with a penguin, "Hey neighbor, grab a Gansett."
I remember that.
It had nothing to do with it, but now they use hey neighbor, that's there. And grab a Gansett was theirs, and loosely based on that, but it isn't. But once again, Shoveltown Brewery, the beer itself, grab a shovel. Tap handles in any bar and restaurant, you'll see is a little shovel.
Okay,
So grab a shovel.
I got it, okay. Well, Jimmy did a great job with me. I hope, like I said, I hope you had fun. Just so you know, if you have anybody that you know that's interesting, whether an employee of yours, any friends, whatever, I get a lot of guests to word of mouth. I'm going to give you my phone number when we wrap the show up, and you can have them text me. We'll get them on if they want to do it. If they like what they see here, hopefully they'll want to. I get a lot of guests from word of mouth now.
Okay?
And that's it. So you ready to wrap the show up the way we began it?
Okay. You're
Okay.
going to play your music.
Let's roll it. Okay, folks, thanks for watching Topic Time. See you next time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.